Okay, Mr. Galisky, I would like to interview you. If that is okay. First off, I would start off asking where you were born.
Which hospital I was born in? Which state? Inglewood, California.
Inglewood, California. Okay. How was your childhood life like?
What was my childhood life like?
Yeah.
Adventurous. I lived near the ocean, but also in some hills where I was able to go and do a lot of hiking with my father. He would take me out and we would not know where we were going and just start walking. And that led to some very good adventures.
So, what elementary school did you go to? Was it like a small public school?
It was a small Catholic school.
What was a Catholic school? Okay. And high school, was it?
That was also a Catholic school, a Jesuit high school in downtown Los Angeles. That was also LHS, that was Loyola High School.
Mm. And how was your high school life, academically?
Good. I had nearly straight A's through 4 years of high school. Started to get a little overcommitted near the end of my high school career, and as a lot of students do, you know, I learned to manage my time a little bit better, and finished with better than a 4.0.
Okay. In high school, did you know what you wanted to major in right away, or did you?
I thought I did. I had always been good at math and science, and when I was in middle school, I thought I wanted to be a chemist. I really liked chemistry and learning about the elements and everything. And then I took high school chemistry, and I didn't like chemistry at all. When I took physics, though, I had a great teacher, and we would go into class and we'd just say, what are we playing with today? And we'd be running experiments, using equipment, learning all about the laws of physics, and he had a lot of good examples to provide. So I realized maybe engineering would be good. A lot of my family encouraged me to go into engineering. But when I was in college, engineering and I didn't get along so well. So I struggled a lot academically those first few years of high school until I finally did figure out what my priorities really were. By that time, though, I had been, let's say, removed from the College of Engineering, and I changed my major to philosophy, but I knew I couldn't really get a job as a philosopher. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I started majoring in astrophysics also. So I was a philosophy and astrophysics double major. I thought I wanted to go to graduate school in astrophysics, but I needed a lot more physics in my curriculum, in my plan. So I added that in, but I didn't add it in soon enough to do very well on the exams I would have to take to get into graduate school. For a while there, I had a triple major. I was a philosophy major, an astrophysics major, and a physics major. I finally dropped the philosophy and ended up with a double major.
So, did you know what university you wanted to go to coming out of high school?
Yes. Coming out of high school, definitely. Going into high school, I wasn't sure. But I had heard that Berkeley really had a good engineering program, good in math, good in science, you know, one of the best in the world. So I figured, let's try that. I also applied to UCSB. Both of my sisters went to UCSB. I expected I would end up there also, but when I was accepted to Berkeley, I figured I had to take that opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I went out of high school and straight to Berkeley.
Okay, so did you know, or let me rephrase that. Did you apply yourself to every university, or were you pretty selective of what universities you wanted to go to?
I filled out 2 applications. I filled out the UC application, and with that I got to apply to 4 universities. I applied to Berkeley, UCLA, UCSB, and UC San Diego. And then I also applied to Stanford. I had visited Stanford actually right after 8th grade. I visited Stanford and really liked that campus, really liked what I saw in their engineering program. So I applied there and was not accepted to Stanford. So Berkeley it was.
Going back to your physics class, what would you say was your best experience, or like something that like gave you more inspiration to better clarify to what did you want to do?
Oh, it was that instructor and his ability to communicate with his students, the concepts that they needed to learn, using analogies, using examples, using demonstrations. And I got to know him also outside of class. I worked on set construction when we did our theater productions, and he was the person who designed all the sets so that they would actually, stand up. So I got to know him pretty well outside of school also, and he really, I think, became a role model for me.
How would you describe your transition from high school to college life?
Rough. It was a long process. See, the problem I had was that high school was easy for me, and so I didn't really know how to study. Went to college and discovered that everyone else in college was just as smart as I was, as I thought I was, and many of them a lot smarter, plus they knew how to work hard. And so I was just relying on what smarts I already had and didn't know how to study, didn't know how to commit my time, how to manage my time. So I did okay the first semester, just relying on the way I'd always done things before. Listening closely in class and maybe jotting down a few notes and doing my homework right before it was due. The second semester, after I had realized that things were more difficult than I had expected, I struggled a little bit more, and then, C's the first semester, C's again the second semester, and then that second year things really went downhill with D's and F's before I was finally able to pull things around and start getting some A's and B's again. But the transition, that's the academic transition. The social transition, college was just a great time. Living in the dorms, 200 or more people living in the same building, the chance to meet friends who had similar interests or widely varied interests. That's where part of my growing up had to happen. I would have a paper due for my philosophy class. I should be writing on it, working on it. Instead, I would take a break and go wander the halls, and there would always be someone to talk to. And I would say that I was going to talk to them about my philosophy paper or whatever it was that I was writing. And then hours later, we'd be talking about something totally different. So it was a great time for learning about people and about socialization, but academically it was difficult to start balancing those.
So did you ever question yourself and tell yourself, why am I here? What am I doing?
A lot. See, I thought I knew what I was doing, and then things got harder, and so I started to really wonder if I was capable of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Before I figured out I just needed to learn how to work harder. I figured out that yes, I was fully capable. I just needed to work on the time management and really focus my energies. But yeah, yes, there were times in there when I questioned what was I doing, what was I good at, could I compete against these other people?
Were you involved with any clubs in high school and or college?
In high school, we had a stamp collecting club. That didn't last very long. I was in we had a political society. We would meet and talk about different political issues of the time. Let me think. There were others. Here's a good one. We had an apathy club. No one ever showed up to the meetings. And I was in some. I tried out for some sports. Thought I was a pretty good basketball player going into high school, but that high school team was one of the best in the state and very competitive to get on that team. Tried out for the tennis team, also one of the best in the state. Didn't make either one of those teams. So then I thought maybe I would run track. I had done some 10Ks, some distance running earlier on, and thought I was a runner. And when they made me run, I didn't like running anymore. I think I would have liked sprinting, but I wasn't nearly fast enough to be a sprinter. So that's when I got involved in theater. Started out just doing set construction and then moved up to stage management. We had some pretty good shows going on there and a lot of people involved in a lot of different things, so it took some real managing of getting all of that happening on stage. And I did actually act in one show.
How was that experience?
It was good. I think that really set me up for teaching. Teaching is a show every day. One of the things I figured out pretty early on in my teaching career is that when you're in a play, you do the same show every night, but for a different audience. And when you're teaching, you do a different show every day for the same audience. But it's still a show that you've got to prepare for and have all your props ready, and you've got to know your lines, and you've got to be able to read your audience, and the audience can definitely have an impact on the presentation that you're putting on.
So going through high school, did you ever think you were going to be in this spot that you are?
Maybe not in high school, but in college, I started thinking more and more about teaching. I mentioned that I thought I would go to graduate school and be an astrophysicist, but I also thought that I would want to go back and teach high school. I just thought I would do some research and teach high school for a while, and then do some more research and then teach high school for a while. At no point did I think I would be teaching high school for 20 years straight. But at the same time, there are no 2 years I can think of where I was teaching the exact same thing. So these last 20 years, it's always been changing and developing and improving. So I can't really say I've been doing the same thing for as long as I have been. Even in high school, though, even earlier back than that, I wanted to be an astronaut. And so I have always, when I had an opportunity to make a decision, I chose what would get me closer to that goal. I don't know if I'm any closer now than I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but I feel like I am.
How was your first job like? What did you do?
My first job was at the university. I worked for the football office, in recruiting high school players to come play college football. I didn't do any of the actual student interaction. I worked in an office, handling phone calls to, placing phone calls to the students so that the coaches could talk to the students, placing phone calls to the coaches so that our coaches could talk to those high school coaches. A lot of computer work, a lot of stuffing envelopes. We would send out mailers to high school athletes, 1,000 athletes per week we sent letters to.
How did Stars Club come to be?
The Stars Academy started when some of the local contractors, the local base contractors, they went to the colleges and universities and said, we need you to supply us with more engineers. And the colleges came to the school district and said, we need more students in college who are prepared to be engineers. So really it was, it kind of trickled down to where is there an educational gap? And so we wrote a grant application to the state of California asking for funding to start this thing off. And that was 14 years ago. Some of those early partners are still working with us as mentors. We've just added on more and more and more. We started out with more of an aerospace focus because of those base contractors, but realized that there are a lot of jobs and a lot of experience and a lot of engineering content can be taught through the manufacturing that we've also been doing along the way. It was perfect timing because this revolution in computer-aided design, three-dimensional modeling, and rapid prototyping with CNC machines and 3D printers, all of that happened right as we were starting to develop our curriculum. So we just took advantage of all of those different design and manufacturing opportunities.
And how did the mentoring program come to be?
Well, it's a requirement of our grant that all 11th grade students work with a mentor, and we had struggled for several years in getting those links made, those contacts made. So we brought in some of our business partners and started asking them. We told them, here's what we need to do and what we want to do, and here are the issues we've been having. How do you think we can solve this? And that's when we decided, instead of students and mentors meeting one-on-one, which requires a lot of mentors and requires the mentors to go through background checks, and then we have to worry about, security. Are the students safe meeting up with these mentors? We decided, let's just gather everyone together in one place and we'll have dinner and conversation. And our first group of students, who started in spring of 2008, those students really liked it, their mentors really liked it. They all liked it enough that they said, we're not done yet, we want to come back and do this again next year, working with the same mentors. Mm-hmm. Then we had to find more mentors, and it just grew from there.
So, your job here at Lompoc High School, would you say you're set for the rest of your life, or you're still exploring another jobs?
I am, just like the last 20 years, the next lump of years is going to be different also.
Yeah.
I still am going to apply to be an astronaut every opportunity I get. Mm-hmm. NASA continues to take applications every few years. I've been invited to apply for jobs at the Department of Education in Sacramento. That I might make that decision. I've been invited to work with teachers in Lompoc on more STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math, from the kindergarten level all the way up through high school. So I may be doing more of that in the near future. The way I see it, I'm just going to keep my options open, keep doing what I've been doing that works well, but be ready for any opportunities that may present themselves.
Do you have some sort of a motto you tell yourself every new school year that this year will be different, or how do you approach every school year?
With enthusiasm. There's always something new going on. It's fun to watch each graduating class as they start hearing about the new equipment that we've ordered, the new curriculum that we're using, the field trips that we're already planning, and that every year the seniors say, we didn't get to do that. But it's every year that the seniors say that. So even those seniors, they got to do something that the class before them didn't get to do.
So it's it must be a really good experience to see all these students growing up and getting jobs in engineering, going to actual universities.
It is. It is a very rewarding, very satisfying experience to see people. You know, some people come in, they know that's what they want to do, and all I have to do is get out of their way. Other students come in, they've got questions, they're not sure, but they start dabbling a little bit here and testing things out a little bit there, and all of a sudden they find this passion that they didn't even know that they had.
So, what advice would you have for any high school student like me for the future?
Going on to college, learn early how to manage your time. Here's a good one for you. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to go find some people who are smarter than you and hang out with them. And the other thing about that is, if you are not the smartest person in the room, you will always know that you have to work really, really hard to catch up to those smart people.
Well, that wraps up our interview.
Okay.